Do you often find that you can't get behind the shuttle, or you don't know how to get into the best position to play that shot that you want to play? Well, this all comes down to your footwork, and in this video we're going to go through the 4 different footworks you can use in your forehand rear court corner. To our surprise, there's nothing like this already on YouTube, which is crazy considering just how important it is, so hopefully you find this video useful.
Firstly, it's important to note that the footwork you'll use will depend on the shot that your opponent's played. And for the purpose of this video, and to keep it simple, we're going to break this down into high lifts, medium lifts, flat lifts, and really flat lifts where you're taking it late.
So first up, we have high lifts, and these often come when you force your opponent to take the shuttle late, and they therefore play a high lift to give themselves time to recover. However, whilst it gives them time, it also gives you time. And this time is best spent making sure you get behind the shuttle. To do this as soon as you've anticipated that they're going to play this high lift by judging their body and racket positioning. You start with a directional split step with your racket leg backwards. You then perform a quick chassé to position yourself just behind where the shuttle is going to fall, ideally approximately half a metre according to research. And then what you do from this position really depends. As we said in our smash video, there's actually no correlation between jump height and smash power. So many people will opt not to do a jump and instead focus on the timing and placement of their shot while still transferring their body weight into it. Of course, the other option is to jump up into the air, which helps you look more intimidating and also hit the shuttle earlier, which therefore generates a better angle on the shot. However, this explosiveness may simply not be possible for everyone. The first half of the movement is the same, no matter if you jump or kick through. But once you've split and then chasséed into this position, if you're kicking through, you load your back leg more and then bring it through as you play your shot. For the jump, you should jump up using both of your legs to help you get height, and then rotate as you hit the shot, as we've been through on our recent jump smash tutorial. And because you're starting behind the shuttle and moving forwards into these shots, you'll be in a good position for the next shot, which will hopefully be a weak reply to the front of the court. That's if it even comes back. As always, we'd want to practice by breaking it down first. So for all 4 movements, we'd suggest you start by practicing without a shuttle and then play just one shot to receive that instant feedback as to how it felt. And then you can try it in a match once you feel comfortable with the movement. So that's the first movement type. Now let's move on to medium height lifts. What should we do for those, Jenny?
We'd often do a scissor kick. The start of this movement is the same, with the directional split step and then the chassé. But then because you don't have quite enough time to get fully behind the shuttle, you perform this scissor movement, bringing your racket leg through whilst hitting the shot. But let's rewind back to the chassé for a second. To do this scissor kick movement effectively, you need to be facing sideways in your preparation. And to do this, you might need to slightly adjust the positioning of your non-racket leg in your chassé like this. These slight adjustments will depend on where the shuttle is coming from. Some key points for this movement is to quickly transition off your racket leg at the back, bringing it through in a smooth and fluid motion. A common mistake we see is people hesitating on their back leg, which often impacts their shot. Finally, keeping your legs wide on your landing and not too close together will help you remain on balance to recover quickly. You then do almost a running step back to the middle or wherever you're going next. Now, if you want this movement to become natural, it takes a lot of practice. We remember doing hours of footwork when we were young, so it was drilled into us. But now we can do it with our eyes shut, and you'll be able to too if you practice it enough. But of course, you also need to make sure you're learning the right technique. And one way to learn this is to count 1, 2, 3, and then 4 as you hit it. 1, 2, 3, 4. Repetition, repetition, repetition. And only then can you successfully implement this footwork into your game. This movement type is more common in singles because of the recovery aspect of the shot. Because of course, in singles you have to cover the rest of the court after your shot. It is sometimes also used in doubles, but we tend to use the movement that we're about to show you, which is mostly used for flat lifts.
Now, before we move on to our third type of movement, it's really important that all of these movements become instinctive, because if you're thinking about what your feet are doing as you're trying to play the shot, then you're not going to be thinking about what your racket's doing, and you'll therefore be very unlikely to play an effective shot. We know this might be overwhelming at first, but you'll definitely get there. So next up is the jump out, which again you'd usually do off a flatter lift. Again, you do a quick directional split step, chassé sidewards, and then you use the power in your quads and glutes to jump up to the shuttle and intercept it. Here you would often play a smash as you're taking the shuttle a bit earlier. And if the lift is really flat and you've read the shot, or it's just quite close to you, then you might just do a split step and jump. You do this movement more often in doubles as you have a partner to cover you afterwards, as sometimes it's really hard to recover quickly back into the court after a jump out. But this movement is sometimes used in singles, but not for an aggressive shot, more to neutralise the rally. Here the jump is slightly backwards rather than up and to the side. Again, you should practice these without a shuttle to get used to the movement and landing before you then put it into a routine or even a match. Similar to before, you can count as you do the movement, but this time it will be 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. And when you're hitting this shot, you'll need a shorter, more compact swing as your body is facing forwards, meaning you can't rotate as much. But that's a topic for another video, so make sure you smash the subscribe button so you don't miss out on that for when it comes. Now the final footwork is one that you'd use for a really flat lift and one that's putting you under immense pressure.
Yeah, when you're playing a late forehand, you'd use a step out, generally taking it later and playing a neutralising shot like a drop or a clear. So for the footwork, you start with a split step. Your non-racket leg then pushes off towards your racket leg in a chassé. And if you're really late, then it crosses behind the racket leg to maximise your distance. Meanwhile, you also turn your body to face behind you. As your non-racket leg lands, you perform a lunge with your racket leg and your foot should be pointing towards the corner. This foot placement and keeping your body upright and engaging your core ensures that you don't collapse in the lunge. If you do collapse, you'll lose power and control in your shot, and your recovery will be much less effective. Your body and shoulder should have also turned to be facing the same direction as your foot. It's then your shoulder and arm that come round as you strike the shuttle, and not your whole body. Finally, you transfer your weight from your racket leg onto your non-racket leg and chassé back to recover.
As we've said throughout this video, these 4 different movements will take time to become ingrained into your game, and unfortunately this is done by practice and repetition. And the more you practice reading what shot your opponent is playing and instantly making that decision as to what footwork you use, the better position you'll be in, and generally the better shot you'll play.
Exactly right. And if you want to check out our video on the basic movement to all 4 corners of the court, then check out this video here. Or if not, then check out this video here, which YouTube magically recommends for you. And if you've enjoyed this video, please don't forget to give it a like, smash the subscribe button if you haven't already, and we'll hopefully see you on another video very soon.